So you think about moving from Washington to Texas. Well, as someone who did the same thing, let me give you a few tips into the move, some things to consider, learn from what I've done so far, perhaps, and certainly ping me with any questions for any gaps you need filling in. So my name's Leigh Calvert. I'm a realtor with Cascade House and Sothebys in Vancouver, Washington, with my team, the Oxford Street Partners. And then individually, I operate in Dallas, Fort Worth, specifically Collin County, which is Plano, McKinney, Celina, Prosper, Allen, all those surrounding communities. And I'm with Briggs Freeman Sotheby's International Realty. So you'll see both of them with the same overall brand. Now, I moved from Vancouver, Washington to Prosper, Texas in 2021. In 2021, I moved. Why? Well, I've got 3 kids, and my middle kid, is conditioned with Rett syndrome. So she's nonverbal, non-mobile, and when she was 4 years old, we were going through a really tough time with health insurance and provision of care, and anyone who even knew what Rett syndrome really was in Washington State, and it became really, really tough. People saying, "Oh, we can't help you anymore. We've done everything we can," and just leaving us to it wasn't really the answer. So we're like, well, we've got to spin our life on its head and put her first and look around and see where we need to go, and discovered through our community that we should be considering Dallas and Texas. So we came down and made a visit and saw great things. The facilities are second to none, and state-of-the-art facilities for schooling, special education departments. The staffing is a good amount of staff versus the experience we were having up in Vancouver, Washington. So it felt like a night and day. And now this video is not a dig on Washington. I love Washington. I think it's one of the best places in the world to live. But it was just situational to our situation. So we decided to make the move, and we get down here, and boy, was I in for a surprise on the things we didn't know or didn't consider. So we got down here, and you start learning about so many different things that are foreign to you based off where you've been before. So weather, I knew about tornadoes. I figured in Dallas, I would rather take my chance against a tornado versus a hurricane by going down into the Houston area. So tornadoes, they happen. I'm not as worried about tornadoes now as I was before getting down here. Certainly when the sirens go off in those first few times, you're on alert. but you get used to it. At least every Wednesday at 1:00, they do the testing siren as well. So that first time when the testing siren's going off, clear blue skies, and I'm not aware that the testing siren goes off. I'm hearing it go off, and I'm thinking, gosh, what's gonna happen? Is a missile coming or something? I don't know. But I didn't know what to expect with nothing but clear sky and the sirens are going off. Anyway, very much used to the sirens and tornadoes, and the storms in the evenings are more theatrical enjoyment now. The hail can kind of be annoying sometimes. So always make sure, tip number 1, whenever you're thinking about moving, make sure you can park your vehicles in a garage. Because if hail does come around, it's great to be able to park it in there. And so if you're doing your wish list with your agent, hopefully that's me. If you're doing your wish list with your agent and you're talking about having 2 cars, always be on the mindset of, I need to be able to park my cars in the garage. Or you don't care about your vehicle and the hail can have its way with it if it ever comes around and hits you in that particular year. Second, weather. Touching on weather more. No one told me how windy it was, ever. I mean, there's like a constant breeze. Certain days you'll have a lull, but there's a constant breeze. You can't play a set of cards out on a table on the back patio. That like a gust of wind will come through and just blow them away. I haven't really taken too much time to look around, but I imagine most girls put their hair in ponytails out and about, or use a lot of hairspray, one of the two. And then also property taxes. So property taxes are a big ball buster when you get down here, especially between the two locations. So in Washington, typically the property taxes are sitting around that 1% mark of your valuation. Down here, it's closer to 2, can get 2.5. Some places you can get, high ones, 1.7, 1.8. And that's whether you're factoring in, you've got property taxes, you've got mud districts, property improvement districts, so you can get property taxes and a mud or a PID on top and be close to like 2.6, 2.7% when you're considering everything combined. So that's a thing. However, I will say this. You pay it, but you see it. You see every bit where that money goes. The roads are generally in great condition. The schools take the bulk of it, and you get incredible school facilities, which is a huge driver for why people consider this area to live. So while you are paying more in property taxes, it's actually maintaining a driving force for why people will consider moving to the area, because these facilities, again, they're second to none. They're nothing like what I had growing up in England. And, when you have a facility like that, you are giving yourself every great opportunity to have, you're giving yourself no excuses to have a great education. Now, you obviously got to put the work in yourself, and obviously the teachers factor in, and how they operate in their day and what they're educating is a huge, component to it. But facilities wise, no excuses whatsoever. It's absolutely incredible. And the options of different classes they give you in certain school districts, at least in Prosper, where I'm getting the experience of my kids going through, the wealth of options that they can go into and have some specialization to is incredible. I mean, literally booklet, pages and pages and pages long. We're not having to worry about whether it's funded or not. Everything educationally typically always gets funded. Flip side, we didn't see that in Vancouver, Washington. We didn't see that we were part of the Battleground School District. And even now there's news right now about, having to figure out budget cuts because they can't pass a bond. So it's kind of a nice thing to know that my kids are going to have, the best schooling experience I could possibly give them by being in this area. And if I've got to pay a little bit more every year in property taxes to do so, I'd rather be having that conversation than worrying about, are they even going to have a classroom, or what stationary they're going to have? Is the class even going to happen? Is PE even going to happen this year? Is STEM classes even going to happen? Like, the toss up, I'd rather pay more and get more than pay less and get less, basically. So the schools has been a big driver, big plus point for us, especially for the special education department for my middle daughter. I mean, literally, we have a separate entry. We open the doors. There's people there. They greet her almost like she's a celebrity personality, and they look after her and take care of her in such a great way every day. And the enthusiasm around special educations is really good, really good. Anyway, other things that I noticed in moving here is the provision in amenities and options, right? So whatever you want to do, you can do it here. I mean, list out something that you want to do, and I will find a place where you can take part in that down here. Now, don't come in me and say, oh, I want to go surfing yet. We can do surfing in Dallas. There is surf centers. There's another one being built in McKinney for $250 million right now. It'll be a resort that opens in 2028. Grandscape at the Colony has a surfing spot as well. It's not ocean surfing. It's not beach surfing, but it's surfing, okay? What else are you gonna bring to me? Skiing. If you want skiing, everyone from Dallas goes to Colorado. That's basically the gist of it. But I'm sure I can find an indoor skiing arena. Golf is everywhere. This is a bit of a golfing hub. The PGA headquarters relocated from Florida to Frisco a couple years ago. That's a whole resort now, and everything's being built and developed around that. But just the provision of amenities. There's always something to do, and there's so many different communities around DFW. Everyone has different community events, town square events, July 4th parades, farmers markets, Halloween events. Obviously, this is the big 250 year for America, so they're preparing for various events around the city with regard to that and bringing community together. Speaking of community, the community feel and vibe is great. It really is. And I actually spoke to numerous people that have come from different states and moved here, where one guy, I think, put it best, is like, I came here, went to a Prosper football game, and felt just this rush of community in the area. And I'd go around and everyone would wave to you, everyone would smile to you. Went on a plane back to his hometown. In this scenario, he was going back to LA. And he goes, to the family, hey, let's roll down the windows and wave to people we see walking around and see how many waves we get back. So he waved about 8 or 9 people. Nobody waved back, right? And at least in his mind, he was like, that was the moment where he goes, I'm not where I'm meant to be. And I want to change that environment for the family. I want to change that environment for the kids. And came here, and now they have a golf cart. They will go to the Friday night football games. The HOA, the subdivision they live in, has a community pool, a gym, a restaurant on site. They do lifestyle events. There's monthly events bringing the community together if you want to partake in it. And so that's kind of really cool. My neighborhood also has a HOA with a lifestyle director. So they do concerts on the lawn. They do a farm to table dinner that you can sign up for. Outdoors, hundreds of people are there. They put on inflatables for the kids. So, big water slides, a big water park day. There'll be music, there'll be food trucks. What else they do? A cocktail evening, 21 and over, obviously, for adult-only events. So you can, again, multiple different things that help you come together as a community with like-kind interests, and tailored to different age groups. So you might be more family-orientated. You might be looking to retire here, and you want to be around more people that are 55 plus, 60, 70. They tailor those things so you can really get to meet people in that way. And then even, everyone is on the neighborhood app. There's a Facebook page, and people are communicating all through there all the time. And even on my street, all the guys are on a text thread. All the girls are on a text thread. Probably should put everyone together on one. But I can lean on the guys on the street and ask for help with putting out trash cans, or what's going on with your internet, or how many boxes has arrived on your doorstep today, and just have some fun with that. And then the girls will do their own thing, and we'll have guys night outs, girls night outs, and so forth. And these are the things that I get to hear about from other people that live in the area. Why? I always start with, if they're looking at moving, changing house, why did you move here? What was the thing that drove you here? And the sense of community is always a number one driver for them. And so if you're missing that in life, well, that sounds good. The question is, what's that cost for you relative to having that experience versus where you are now? Weather, back to weather again. Repeat all the time. I wear sunglasses all the time. January, February, March, April, May. All year you can wear sunglasses, and sometimes it'll be stormy, but for the most part, temperature doesn't matter. It's generally sunny. So if you like sun, it's a good spot for you. And then again, circling back, amenities. You can go to a new restaurant every day for the rest of your life and never hit the same place twice. There's that many things available to you. And then the circulation of businesses that come through and go will feed into the provision of that. Now, you really need a budget. You don't want to do that. You really shouldn't do that every day for the rest of your life. But it's really amazing that you could. And you can hit every cuisine. Don't really have that option up in Portland and Vancouver too much, where you can hit any type of cuisine and then variety of qualities, right? So those are the things. Now, because I find people moving to and from, I thought we'd play a little equation, a little scenario of if you were going to buy a house for $550,000, what would it look like in Vancouver, Washington versus Celina, Texas? Okay, so play along with me here. I've got my trusty AI helping me out with just putting some initial things together. I've tweaked it based off area knowledge. They were going pretty low on the property taxes, not property taxes, home insurance rate for Texas. I bumped that up because their estimate was a little low. But here we go. So based off buying a $550,000 house, the interest rate estimate was about 6.5%. We're basing this off putting 20% down with a conventional loan, and we're not worried about additional taxes outside of the general tax base. So for North Texas, there's things called mud taxes or PID districts, right? Those are additional things you can find yourself in neighborhoods with that goes above the tax rate. I'm not talking about that because we don't really see that in Vancouver at all. So we're going to go try and like for like. So mortgage principal and interest, generally the same, $27.81 on the estimate. Property taxes, Celina was running about $853 a month. Vancouver was $426, so about half, which is about right. So the tax rate for down here is just about 2.014% for Celina before you get into mud districts or PIDs. And then up in Vancouver, it's roughly always ballpark around 1%, around there. So half of that makes a lot of sense. Home insurance, Vancouver, you'd be looking at probably spending $160-ish a month. Down here, I think you'd be looking more around that $600 a month. Yes, $600 a month. You're factoring in tornadoes, hail, high winds, ice storms. Vancouver, you've got, depending on where you live, you've got heavy rain, maybe fire. You've got to be mindful of earthquakes, but most people don't do earthquake insurance. And flooding, maybe, but not really susceptible to tornadoes, or we don't really see much hail up there either. Utility costs, both of them are pretty close. Vancouver was running around $225 a month. Utilities for Celina was running around $275 a month. So overall, the payments were running roughly for owning a $550K house in Celina around $4,100 and change a month. Vancouver was about $3,570 odd dollars a month. So cheaper in Vancouver. That's one thing. It's a big picture, okay? Now we take into consideration employment, right? So not only does the unemployment rate in Collin County, which is where Celina, Prosper, McKinney, all that is 3.6%, and Clark County in Vancouver is 5.1%. The average take-home pay for a household in Collin County is about $123,000. The average in Clark County is $98,000. So while the cost of housing is more in Texas than it is in Washington, it flips back towards Texas's favor because of the general income that's coming from the employment down here. And that's actually one of the key reasons why a lot of people look to move here is jobs. A lot of corporate headquarters are finding their way to be in Texas and Dallas. There's a thing called Y'all Street with regards to the financial world, because a lot of the financial companies are creating headquarters in Texas. They've got the Texas Stock Exchange that's going to be opening. And you've got these ancillary businesses around there, but also the tax structure for companies is really appealing for them in Texas. And then obviously they want to bring staff and staff those buildings. So jobs is a big thing, and then seeing that unemployment rate is not surprising. So a really good, healthy job environment around Dallas, Fort Worth, and Collin County. So if you're receiving $123,000 a year in Collin County on average, and you're only receiving $98,000 in Clark County, then not only is your cost of housing right around the same, about 44% of your income, but Collin County in Texas should see you with receiving roughly $14,000 more dollars in your pocket than what the makeup is over in Vancouver, Washington. Something to consider. Now, obviously, you got to weigh that in with, what are you doing, other things in your life. I'll tell you now, driving, your fuel cost isn't going to be higher in Texas than it is in Vancouver. But health insurance is going to be variable in the two locations. It's an open market in Texas. There's more competition. You can get access to different rates and plans, which could give you a lower monthly, but it's more volatile in the sense of out of network situations and what your cost at the end can be. Washington is more structured and more regulated, less options, but less surprises. So you can pay more monthly, even if you're not really using it, but you got the benefit of not really having these outrageous costs at the end. But if you're pretty healthy and you're like, I really don't want to spend that monthly amount, I'd rather go with the low package and take the risk of a higher risk situation, you have that option in Texas. So again, lifestyle situations, choice, what you want for your life, you determine what that's going to be like. And then another reason why I think a lot of people move here is new developments. And with the new developments, it's not just new housing, it's new shops, new grocery stores, new amenities. And really with all of that, new opportunities. If you see yourself as an entrepreneur and you want to start a business, you want to start in a business where all these new houses are being built and they're anticipating all this population growth. And more people coming there. Can you see that as a opportunity for your business career development and to make sense of what you're doing with your community? Quite possibly. Certainly in my industry, I find it greatly beneficial to connect with people when they're trying to find where they want to live. It's really easy to buy into a community in Celina. And all this monetary side of things and why you want to live here or why you not want to live here is all good and well. But then if you decide you do want to be here, you've really got to make sure you pick the right community. There are people that really love their community, really, really love it, and love the people they live around, love the environment, love the walking trails, the lakes, the presentation, that community vibe. And there's others that live in communities that they don't like it. They didn't land in the spot they want, and they're struggling to sell out because other people are not finding that development to be attractive. You got to be mindful of who the developer was, what the plan is, what's the expansion plan around the development, right? So again, it's really easy to buy a house. You want to be really careful about what you buy and be thinking 3, 4, 5, 10 years ahead. And always be thinking, what's my exit plan? Can I get out of this as easy as I got into it? And what does that look like? Try not to be swayed by the interest rates. my concern with interest rates, if we're really getting into it, is if they're swaying you to buy something because of a lower interest rate, would you buy the same thing at the current interest rate versus another one? Because that's the question when you come to resell it, your buyer is going to have to think about. And if you won't do it at the beginning, likely they're not going to do it later down the line, right? So try not to be wowed or swayed too much with the interest rate. If you have a long-term vision and you're thinking, I'm going to own this thing for 10, 15, 20 years, whatever, yeah, go ahead. But if you think you are more likely going to be like a 7-year mindset, I would be mindful of, again, what you're buying, what the lot location is, what the development is, what the tax structure is, what the schools are you going to, what's the amenities, what's being built around you, all these things. Anyway, so in a nutshell, that's kind of things I experienced by moving from Vancouver, Washington to North Texas. There's so much more to this story, but I don't want to buck you for too much of your time. If you have questions, reach out. Happy to go through more of it, any specifics you want, the negatives I've seen, from experience, my own experiences or experiences I've seen from other buyers that I've helped move from the area, or neighbors I've talked about that have moved to the area as well. Feel free to reach out here or head to leigh-calverttx.com. Find me on there. If you're thinking about moving to Vancouver, Washington, I can run through some great things about that area. And actually, to sum it up, actually, I had this earlier, but I should have put it in sooner. If you're going to summarize Clark County, it's better for lower property taxes, more of a natural environment with the trees, the rivers, the mountains. They're incredible, absolutely incredible. There's less structured growth, so it's more wholly community-based versus subdivisions and all of that side of things. And it's best for, remote workers for the no state income tax under $1 million. And if you are looking to kind of, again, lower your cost and your income is not wholly that important. Maybe, it's really good for retirees. We got a lot of retirees moving to that area. Collin County, again, we're leaning in on family environment, schools, job development. You like new construction, and really maybe the sun plays into it. Not the temperatures as much, but the sun. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Any more questions, reach out. Do not be afraid. My phone number's on my website. Heck, I think you can probably find it on the YouTube page. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.